this society will always be as a drunken of the wine. Controlling all the senses for understanding great divine. I will sense fire to this land.
Peace and blessings. This is your brother Gabar, and this is IAMFITPodcast. Are you fit to go God's way? Let's go, let's go, let's go. We are live, and thank you for allowing me to come into your living room just for a little bit. Thank you. All right, so I wanted to come on. I came in late today because I was not planning to come on today, by the way, because I was into my studies, right? And I usually like to study, and then I think I came across something that is, for me, if I'm right, or not necessarily other people believe what I'm looking into, but if they're right and it looks like they have some valid argument, it may be life changing. So I'm gonna keep you guys posted. And I was just so deep in my studies that you know, I didn't want to break that zone because I was going through a lot of breakthrough. So, but I wanted to just come in today. And I was planning to come in later, but then I just got tired. And then my daughter and her husband came, and we grabbed dinner. We was catching up, and then one thing led to another. Before you know it was like 9:30, right? So, but let me come on for a little bit, just say hello to the people. But I want to address the folks, but let me address the reason why we're here, right? I wanted to, and Brother Danny, just hold on for 2 seconds. I want to address why, or what inspired me to come on, right? So every so often, I like to, go and listen or read some of the commentaries, right? Because it kind of gives me ideas for other shows, because people may ask me a question or people may disagree with something, and I want to kind of like say, okay, see, this is where the people are going. So I wanted to address something that in dealing with my previous channel, right, and previous show, right, that we did in particular. Let me just fix this real quick. I don't know that sometimes this thing doesn't get all there. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. New layout. Perfect. Okay. And let me try again with Brother Alexander. Brother Daniel, can you hear me? Okay, so we're having issues.
Oh, wait, can you hear me now?
I could hear you now, and I don't hear the backdrop, so we're good. Okay.
I'm trying to get my AirPods connected, so just bear with me on that, but I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, do your thing, and I'm going to bring in the bit because I want to set the stage, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, so this is what I'm going to discuss. Now, today, I was reading the comments, and because I usually like to edit the previous video to kind of, this is like a time period that you guys are waiting for the show to come on, and then I usually cut that, right? And it was taking longer than usual because it was the video was kind of taking its time to like process. And so this afternoon, around 5-ish, 5:30-ish, almost 6, I realized, okay, it got processed, and I said, okay, let me go check my comments, because once it gets processed, you can see like how many people have seen you and all that good stuff. So I read a comment and I wanted to kind of address. Let me see. Let me deal. Oh, okay. I think. Okay. So, and this is the reason why I know I'm hitting a nerve with certain people. Because I usually don't get comments or people call in about certain topics unless it's interesting or hits their or impacts them to some degree, right? And I wanted to address this tonight, and I want to address it tonight, and I noticed this tonight because my mind is flowing, so I want to just let it all out tonight. I don't want to sleep on this situation, because this is exactly why. And until specifically Europeans, and specifically until European Zionists, European Jewish, like the Khazarians, Ashkenazi Jews, get it through their thick head, that the world does not evolve around their opinions. It evolves around facts, right? And I noticed I got this, comment, and it was multiple comments. It was not only one. Let me go into, let me show you guys here. It was multiple comments. He started here. He started talking about Herodotus, saying that I said that the Israelites were descendants of Egyptians. I never said that. I said that Herodotus described them, and his trying to figure out its origin, that they look like an Ethiopian stock, right? So, and this guy, obviously, if you could see here on my thumbnail or my screen here, he clearly has the Israeli flag. So he's probably either Jewish or Christian American, and he's defending his ideology. And every single time I have had this conversation, and there was a white person in the room, they always say the same thing in regards as an explanation for why Moses and Paul got mistaken for an Egyptian. So let me read this one here, because this is the one I want to address, right? And by the way, North, he was making fun of my PowerPoint that, so-called sources, but at least I brought sources. You didn't. You just brought opinion. Like I'm going to show you. Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian due to his upbringing in Pharaoh's palace, not because he was black. How do you know? Where's your source? How do you know that? How can you put that together? And this thing happened about 3,400 years ago, give or take? How would you know that? That it could never be his skin pigmentation or how he looks. It could never be that. It has to be his mannerism. He was white as an Irish, but he was acting like a pharaoh or what have you. The ridiculous of these guys, and there's the reason why I don't waste my time to try to debate, because by debating them is giving them the illusion as they have a point. They are simply racist. And if this guy's a Zionist so-called Jew, he's going to be intimidated by these facts because it goes against his skin pigmentation. So it's not my fault that you decide to hey, let's go get the land, let's live in the land, let's claim to be Jews, right? And when the world start looking at the evidence, it's like, wait a minute, the Jews didn't even look like you. How you guys turn white? It's not my fault that you decided, yeah, we're going to take on this identity. And Paul was mistaken for Egyptian when he was sieged in Jerusalem during a riot, as a member of a crowd accused him of being a notorious leader of a group that had previously violently, not because he was black. How do you know? Where's your source? And if he was mistaken for this Egyptian troublemaker person, could it be that he looked like him? Now, you can't use the same excuse with Paul, with Moses. He grew up in the house of Pharaoh. That's the reason why he got mistaken for the Egyptian. Not a skin color. Could never be a skin color. No. The racism of these guys are uncanny. And let's not get things twisted. I do criticize the Hebrew Israelite community with their racism, but I'm also going to address the racism of these white people in Jerusalem, in Israel. I'm washing my hands with all this. In regards to trying to be friends with people to try to, not offend their racist ideology. Dude, you're not a Jew, and you will never be a Jew. And even, let's just say, for the possibility that it could have been, some of you guys could have some Shemitic DNA that may trace you back to the land of the people. You know how many Shemitic people are out there that could trace or Shem was a Shemitic people were all over the place. They're the Middle Eastern people. Doesn't mean just because you have some DNA of Shemitic DNA, you know who else was Shemitic? Esau, the brother of Jacob, who came out red. So let's address these things, right? Oh, by the way, in your own Talmud, it says that the so-called white race is the Edomites. Why you guys don't have that conversation with the Edomites? Hey, white Christian, do you know in the Talmud, Jewish people are saying that you guys are the Edomites? You know, last week was a white Christian coming on the show talking about, I don't think it could be talking about color. It has to be about his essence. This knucklehead's talking about, oh, he grew up. That's the reason why. He grew up in Pharaoh's house. It had nothing to do with it could never be also his phenotype resemble an Egyptian. No, that could never be, no. And when that doesn't work, you know what they're going to say? You know, the Egyptians were not really black. You know, they were mulatto. They were. Right? What else? It says, if the Israelites were black, then, and this one, another one they use. If the Israelites were black, then Jeremiah would not have distinguished the difference in skin color between the Cushites in Jeremiah 13 and 23, which is true. Can a leopard change his spots, and can a Ethiopian or Cushite change his skin, right? Yes. And this is, if you were to watch the entire show, you would realize that in Africa, there are different pigmentation. There are lighter skinned Africans, like myself. There are darker skinned Africans, like a Cushites. Or you got to just Google different phenotype of Africans, and you'll see it. You got certain Africans, you got, straight more hair, them nose, you got wide noses, because all the phenotypes in regards of that you see being developed in the world usually come from melanated people, and then later on to migration and different mixture, you get different type of people. And that's why I was telling your friend that I don't like to use the word black, although the Romans used it, right? The Romans use the term Ethiopian, which means burnt face, or use Negro or Negro. But I was just saying that the word black or Negro or dark skin people was described specifically in Africa and the Mediterranean Sea. I'm paraphrasing, right? And why that is and the Jews were within that group of black, right? And what else he said? Let's see here. Yeah, I like this one. Cornelius Tacitus described Jews as black. Refer to their hair texture. See, it's never their skin. It's never their skin. It's always, is their hair, is their ear, is their nose, is their under their feet. It's never their skin. And last week I showed you sources. I was able to show you just basic source that all the Romans historians just terrorize everybody with dark skin and woolly hair. Now, dark skin will be darker skin than them. See how that makes? Darker skin than them, that means a guy that looks like me. I will be considered an Ethiopian from the perspective of the Romans. That makes sense? They will call me an Ethiopian. They will call me a Moor. I'm the lighter version of the Morites, or the lighter version of the Ethiopian from their perspective, because Ethiopia was not a nation, or they didn't view Ethiopian as a nation the way we view as Ethiopian as a nation in Africa. That was a generic term. And I was able to show you guys with basic sources. This is not rocket science, right? They will refer to their hair texture rather than their skin color. How do you know? What's your source? So you mean to tell me there were white people walking around with afros? That's what's happening now? Right? So you show me one scenario. Show me a white person without an afro that he does a afro type of texture, without him have to literally put some chemicals or inflate their hair to make it look that way. Because white people were doing that in the 70s. It's cool to have an afro, so white people have that. But let that same white boy be in the desert somewhere. That hair is gonna be dripping in his face, and he has to get a ponytail just to manage it. I'm not dealing with stupidity, you white racist people. You guys need to stop. Let it go, man. The problem with and I don't think it's a racial issue. I think the problem with white people, or these type of white people, not all white people, let me be clear, okay? Shout out to all the cool white people. But the problem with the white people is they want to be in the Bible. Like, they want to be the main characteristic, the people that are in the book. They cannot fathom or accept in their mind that, you know what? These were melanated people. Some light-skinned melanated people, dark-skinned melanated people. But it was melanated people. This had nothing to do with us. And like everything else, like the Macedonian Greeks was trying to insert themselves into the Egyptian family line, is the same thing you was trying to do with Christianity, with Judaism. Look it up. Nero's son got converted. What's his name? The Uncle's family. These were all Romans people. The majority of the Talmud writers were converts. And I got the receipt for that. 1 minute. I know you guys hate this depiction. I know this bothers you. No, this could not be. First of all, this man is not a black man. This man is lighter than an Ethiopian. Because I could show you Ethiopians, and they look darker than this brother. This brother is more similar to my complexion or Brother Alexander's complexion. Most African American, believe it or not, that's why I don't like that word black, because it makes you associate with the word black when you clearly looking at a human being with the color brown. Like, if he would have been this actor right here playing this Christ in the movie, I believe the Book of Clarence, I think it was. And if he would have been a Dominican or a Cuban, Cuban or a darker skinned Puerto Rican, this guy could pass for a Dominican. African Americans and Caribbeans are the same people. But since you don't take my word for it, let me give you some of your rabbis. See what they said. Rabbi Samuel says, "The children of Israel, may I be an atonement for them. On like boxwood," we got to get into boxwood, "neither black nor white, but of a intermediate shade." So if you take someone, a typical white person, or take the whitest person, and I think when you go into this particular writing, it was going into the leprosy, how leprosy will look in a German versus in a Ethiopian. So what the rabbis were doing, they were taking the lighter skinned person like a German, right? And the darker skinned person like an Ethiopian. And they say that the Jews are somewhere in between. That's not white people. If he's using the father example, Germans. German is a typical white person. And this is the funny thing. The German Jews that were in Germany was able to disguise themselves as German, change their name, cut their locks, become German diplomat and all of that, and blend in with Germans. And this guy, Rabbi Samuel, I think he lived in the 1st century, 2nd century AD. I got to look at the, I think 140. He himself was also contemporary with Tacitus as well, around the same time, give or take. And he's describing and saying that Jews don't look like Germans. They don't look like Ethiopians. They look somewhere in the middle. Like me. I'm not white, last time you check. And you white people have to stop thinking that there's not light-skinned, melanated people. There's different shades of brown. The audacity of these guys. This is how boxwood looks like. This is the example of boxwood. Last time I checked, this doesn't look like white people. Right? This doesn't look like this. This doesn't look like boxwood. This looks like boxwood. So, brother, what you gonna add to this? I wanted to just, and dudes, Mr. What is his name? Blessing, whatever his name is. If you're gonna send me an email, send me sources. I don't hear your opinion. And this is what I hate about certain white people. They feel when they walk into having a debate with black and brown people, like they don't have to ever show any sources. Right? They just go, I speak, so it's true. The ridiculous of this situation. So, brother, what you got to add to this conversation?
No, you're cooking with grease, Elder. Just trying to be as calm, cool, and collected, and not just kind of like giving out all my vitriol towards racist Edomites. I'm just trying to be as calm, cool, and collected as possible. But guys, it's not far-fetched for the chosen people to be melanated. Even some of their own rabbis today have said the chosen people are melanated. Of course they're going to lump themselves in there with it, but it's not far-fetched. And then, like you said in 2 podcasts ago, when you have a pattern of evidence, you lean towards that. You lean towards that pattern of evidence. You don't go away from it. And so I do think it's just starch racism. And it does go into what you said, like these guys have to be the center of attention, right? And most of the world is melanated, but they have to be the center of attention.
Yeah. There's 7%. There's 7% of the population, but they're the Egyptians, they're the Hebrews, they're Adam and Eve. And we just gotta sit here. I don't want to be the angry Negro. I don't want to be the angry person. Say that's a bunch of crap. That's not true.
Oh my gosh! No, Elder, and I really think it's in America, and of course, every nation has drunken of the wine of fornication. But I really feel like the weight of that deception or indoctrination or drunkenness is in America, to where they really have the final say in I'm white and I'm right, and this is what it is. Because I believe, like, when you go into the land of Egypt, these people know, like, guys, we've always been black. So, like, I just feel like it's an American thing that we have to really deal with this starch racism. But when you venture out, you're not going to have to hear so much of this madness. But no, I think you're cooking, Elder. I think you're cooking.
It's amazing because it's like even earlier, right, Bibles that before the King James came in. Right, this is the Great Bible, right? This came in at 1539. It was published. This is when the England broke away from the Catholic Church and they kind of started their own Bible, right? And look what they translate describing King David, right? How to describe King David, right? Let me see if I can find it. Where's the spot that? Hold on, 2 seconds. Let me find it. I believe it was 11. 2 seconds. I know I had it. Hold on. Bear with me.
And I can read it for you too if you need me to.
12. Here we go. Thank you, sir. Okay. Let's read verse 12. If you could read that. And let me see if I could bring a little bit. Now we're gonna read this version. Right? We're gonna read this version because this version was translated before King James. This is the Great Bible. And I want to read. Now, before we read, let's read the King James Version, right? It says, and he sent and brought him in. Now he was ready, talking about Christ, and withheld a beautiful countenance. Right, this is David. I mean, excuse me, David. Thank you. David, right? So this is talking about David. Matter of fact, you can read this real quick if you don't mind, brother.
Yes, sir. This is 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 12. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and withal of a beautiful countenance and goodly to look to. And the Most High said, arise.
Right. So 1742, right? Goliath looked upon him and saw David and disdained him, for he was but of a youth and ruddy. Ruddy means red, or of a broadish hue, of a fair complexion. Now, when you look at the other translation, right? When you read the same thing in the Great Bible, verse, if you could read that for me now, is old cricket English. It's just, so the lettering is a little different, but you'll be able to make it out.
Yes, sir. This is 16 and 12. And he sent and brought him in, and he was brown.
He was white, brother. No, he was white. Like, Tom Cruise and the British actor they're interviewing right now for the next, movie, Passion of the Christ Part 2. That's how he was.
Hopefully,
he was
Tom
brown.
Holland.
Hey, brother, are you brown? Let me check. Are you brown?
I'm brown. I'm pretty brown.
I'm brown, so we're down. I don't know about these guys. It's like I'm no longer being polite with these guys because it's like they want you used to be like, come among us and be like our teacher and everything that is, Bible. No, that's not mean brown. This mean only hair. It's only the hair, never the skin. And when was the last time I saw, white people with afros? And this is the nonsense that these guys think they could get away with. If you call me, if you want to have a conversation, you better have sources. I don't want to hear your opinion, and your sources better not be another guy agreeing with you and because he wrote it in some book. Because you guys like to do that and try to make it seem that it's like this is a source. But it's just the ridiculous of these guys. They don't want to stop. They don't want to stop with their own. And the reason why I know these guys are full of crap is because this is the same rhetoric that I hear from white people that have a problem with Israel being people of color. And like I said, we're not as dark as the Ethiopian, because the Ethiopian, when you go into certain parts of Africa, you have some brothers, some of the Hamitic lineage, a shade darker than us. And look at the Pygmies. The Pygmies are African, indigenous African, and they're my complexion. These are the guys that Mandela comes from. They got like the Chinese eyes.
Yeah, can I say something in regards to that skin complexion?
Yes, sir.
So I know some people that recently went over there near Ethiopia, and they got a chance to speak to some of the people of Ethiopia. And they said that, yeah, the complexion there ranges from light skin all the way up to as dark as night. So
yeah, Yeah, but when you look at the original Ethiopians, they're really the Nubians, because the Ethiopian now is a mixture of many things, and I will say that I need to even do a conversation about that in regards of who are the Ethiopian. But this is the problem why these guys are upset. This is the problem why these guys are, get angry, because this is one of your boys. This is one of your boys saying about the genetics finding when they did DNA that none of you guys are inhabitants of this land. Fair use.
The question we've been trying to answer is a question that has been under debate for the past couple of decades, mainly between linguists. And that question is the origin of Yiddish language. Now, Yiddish is a language that consists of German, Hebrew, and Slavic elements, written with Aramaic letter, and it has been spoken since the 9th century.
This guy is Jewish, by the way. Yes, let me guess. He's a self-hating Jew now?
The prevailing view is that Yiddish is an old German dialect, where the alternative view is that Yiddish is a Slavic language that used to have Slavic words and grammar, but over time it shaded its Slavic lexicon and adopted German words, while retaining the Slavic grammar. In a sense, Yiddish speakers sounds like Yoda from the Star Wars universe. Yoda's language also consists of words in English, real and made-up one, like Wookiee and Jedi, but the grammar is off. Yiddish also consists of 251 words for just buy and sell, suggesting it was invented by traders. Language, geography, and genetics are all connected. The further I move away from England, the more dissimilar the DNA and languages of the people that I will encounter.
He's going to get into the DNA of the people.
Will become. So if we have a tool that converts genetics into geography or languages, we can find our answer. Fortunately, in 2014, we published the Geographic Population Structure, or GPS tool, that does exactly that. GPS converts DNA information into geography. So to answer the hypothesis of where Yiddish speakers came from, we applied GPS to the genome of Yiddish speakers to find where their DNA is from. Surprisingly, GPS took us to northeastern Turkey. At first, we did not understand.
Wait a minute. I thought is Israel in Turkey?
Nope.
You sure? Okay, just checking.
The results, but when we looked at some old books, we found 4 ancient villages named Ishkenaz, Eskenaz, Ashenaz, and Ashkuz, names that may be derived from the word Ashkenaz. This place resides on a hub of trade networks. This is where Silk Roads and other trade routes converge. We speculated at that time Iranian traders, Iranian Jewish traders flying the Silk Road, moving merchandise from east to west, from Asia to Europe, identified this region, and made it their center. They converted the local population, and to maintain their monopoly on trade, they invented a secret language, one that only Jews can speak while they remain conversant in all other languages. With their secret language, they could move all their merchandise back and forth and move information between East and West to maintain their monopoly.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we have to be very careful to swear by the Hebrew language that we read today. I'm not saying that we should just throw it away, but it is corrupted a little bit because it has some, Yiddish influence, in regards to certain pronunciation. I believe that the ancient Hebrew sounded more like Native America or Native American language versus the way they, like the gutter sound that they bring out. That's a more Turkish type of interpretation, but that's a different conversation.
Shortly after they invented the language, they relocated. The young Ashkenazic Judaism was relocated to Khazaria, and some 500 years later, when Khazaria was destroyed, they moved to Eastern Europe. At that time, the network collapsed, and Ashkenazic Jews separated from their brethren of the Iranian Jews, and the two populations went their separate ways. Yiddish was stopped being used as a trade language and was now started accumulating words in German while retaining the Slavic grammar. Our results are consistent with the Slavic hypothesis, suggesting that Yiddish has a Slavic origin and that it has originated in ancient Ashkenaz that is located in northeastern Turkey. By applying GPS to the genome of Yiddish speakers, we were able to find ancient Ashkenaz and villages where the DNA...
And this is the reason why it has to be that these people are Khazar converts, because Jews by tradition not only the Ashkenazi Jews, but you look at all the Jews in the world, or all the people that are claiming to be Jews in the world, whether it be the Sephardic Jews, the Ethiopic Jews, the Igbo Jews, the Jews of India, they all marry with their own religion for the most part. Yeah, sometimes some people go out the camp and maybe convert somebody and brings them in, but generally they stay within their percentage. Matter of fact, they have done research that deep religious people usually marry in a higher percentage than non-religious people. So if they look like Ashkenazis and they look like Turkish people of that time, right? And they kept that phenotype until now, and they always marry within each other, what that means, what that proves. If we could see that the original Jews, going back to, Rabbi Samuel, he said that the Jews look like boxwood. We look like boxwood, not this guy. All the evidence is pointing the Ashkenazi, the Uncleist conversion, and other Romans conversion. Romans also had Shemitic DNA within them because they were mixed with Esau and Japhet. And different Romans conquered different parts of the world, so there's a mixture of blood within the Roman citizenship, if you will.
These speakers has originated probably over 1,500, 2,000 years ago. The search for Asian Ashkenaz has been going on for about maybe over 1,000 years, and now we believe we found it. Of course, this needs to be verified with archaeological evidence.
And this guy, he had some issues because there was some death threats. He had to leave Israel. I think he's in France. Every time a Jewish person just innocently just find the truth, and the truth is self-evident that these people are not Jews. All the evidence points to that. But these knuckleheads, I don't know who this guy is. Deuteronomy, what his name is? Deuteronomy 18:18 or 8:18. And that's how these guys operate. They start looking for stuff when it deals with them. Boxwood has a reddish complexion. It has a brown color on a boxwood, are most often caused by winter damages, right? It says it turns reddish brown or bronze. That's not you, Papa. Sorry. And yes, you can't use the excuse, well, whatever I get a suntan, I don't need a suntan. And people don't get described how they look in 3 months of the year. Most white people are white.
And
I would say a beige.
In regards to that suntan, if they hadn't got the full body, you take off that shirt, it's not going to work out for them either.
Exactly. The reason why the term redneck is a thing, redneck, not red body, is because the poor whites or the farmers in Europe used to work in the field, and their neck used to get exposed, and that's where that term redneck comes from. Because they're not red. Get it? That's the whole thing. And no, Rudy does not mean rosy cheeks. It doesn't mean that. It means red, like the Rudy bird. Look up the Rudy bird. You guys haven't looked up the Rudy bird? The Rudy bird doesn't
heard of that bird.
Right? Let's look up the Rudy bird, see what comes up. See if it's going to come on, looking like, here goes the Rudy bird. Let me show you guys the Rudy bird. The Rudy bird has a brown complexion. Look at it. Has a brown complexion. These are the Rudy birds. They're dark, but they have a red layer, right? What do the Native Americans used to be called? The red man, the red skin. Do the Native American look like me or look like you? Do Native American look like us or look like you guys? The reason why they call you redneck is because you're not ordinarily red. You get red on your neck when you're out and you're exposing your neck. Matter of fact, in Europe, the way to distinguish the royal people from the common folks is if their neck was red. So that's why they used to cover themselves. And they got white people, the white royal family got so pale because they didn't get any sun. They began to call them blue blood. Because when you're very light, you don't get any sun because they was never getting any sun. And in Europe, it's not that hot to begin with. But when they're in the summer, they used to cover their, their skin because even having a suntan or being, tan, it would be considered that you are like a Bedouin, like you're beneath royal because you're working. Royal people don't work. So if you get a suntan, that's like, what? Are you poor? You got to work? What's going on? But even as red a white person could get, would never get as red as this. This is more my complexion. Look at my complexion. Look at this guy. The bird. It's like ridiculous with these guys. But I just want to come here for a little bit, brother and sisters, just to talk about the ridiculous of these things. You guys want to talk? I don't mind having a conversation, but you have to bring sources. We could do a debate. We could we could have like a moderator. We could have a conversation, but you need to bring sources. I want to kick your butt out because I'm tired of racist white people thinking they could teach us or promote lies and feel he's going to wing it and just come to the power, to the debate without no PowerPoint with no sources. And first, we have to first determine what is a source. Somebody else's opinion is not a source. Anything you got to do, say, brother, before we end the show?
Man, I enjoyed this. I enjoy getting on racist Edomites, and of course, there are some good brothers and sisters out there. But I like this kind of stuff. That's it.
And it's always the same thing. You notice, Mr. What's his name, Mr. Durham is 8 and 18. He never addressed all the other stuff. They'll always address the same old tired thing. Well, Paul, it was just a riot, and so if they were looking for somebody that was an Egyptian, and then the Egyptian people are color. If you're gonna tell me, Egyptians are white because you saw, what's the last movie of Egypt, whatever, gods and
Christian Bale's,
Christian
Gods and Kings.
Yeah, right. That's a movie. It's called fantasy for a reason. Hollywood. Right? But when you go to real, this is the reason why there are certain white people that are very like, and even in Egypt, there's like a thing. Some of the Arabs are like, no, we're Egyptian. No, you're not. You Arabs, you're Egyptian citizen. Yeah, because now Egypt is a country and it's citizenship. But what you have mostly is Roman babies and Islamites, Arabs. Is that wrong being a Roman? Is that wrong being an Arab? Be proud of who you are. Right? Black people, right? They call themselves African American. Why? Because they know their origin is African American. If you are a white Egyptian, you should say, I'm a European Egyptian from Europe. My ancestry goes back to Europe. And be proud of that. Nobody's going to kick you out. It's okay. If you're an Arabic Egyptian, say, yes, I'm an Arabic Egyptian, originally from the Middle East. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
So I just had this crazy thought. Like, the world already doesn't like these people because of the atrocities that we're seeing in 4K every single day. But just think about it. If they remove that title about being God's chosen people, then what are they? They're just psychopathic murderers. And then they don't have nothing to like cleave to show themselves, to receive some kind of empathy or sympathy or understanding. They're just evil people. And so I think that, heck, if I was in their position, I would be trying to grab this with my life, because it really does depend on it.
It doesn't, exactly, because if they're not the Jews, there is no justification for none of it.
They're just terrible people at that
That's
point.
what it is. And really, I truly believe that it is delusion. That's why the concept of the chosen people, I believe anybody, if they're not in the right state of mind, in the teachings of Christ, could become a racist. Being the concept of finding out that you're chosen or you're part of the book, if you don't check that, you could become an elitist. Look what's going on with the Hebrew Israelites. Same thing. The only reason why we don't feel it is because they're not empowered. They don't have any power to wield their racism. But if you would change Netanyahu with General Yohana will be doing the same thing. You understand what I'm saying?
And if you would have met me a couple years back, I would have been right there next to General Yana, being as elitist as possible. I would have been a Nick Fuentes.
Exactly. So we have to check that, because it could start getting racial. It could start getting to the point that we start thinking we're better than everybody, like these white people. They think they're Jews, and everything is a threat to them.
They're the samurai. They're Robin Hood. They're just. And Robin Hood was based off a black person, and they're just everybody. So
yeah, they're everybody and everybody. But then when you start digging up stuff, there's always an explanation. Maybe you guys are wrong. Maybe you guys are victim of the lies that was taught in it yesteryears. I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, we're going to continue having these conversations. It's important, but no more Mr. Nice Guy with these guys. If you're going to come, and I don't care who you, black or white or brown, bring sources. If you disagree, just bring sources. I don't care about your opinion. I go out of my way to bring sources so that I could get challenged with more sources, not opinion. Until next time, may the Most High keep you and watch you, and Shalom. Peace. Remember, Christ is King.